Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Grow Your Path to Wellness. We're releasing bi-weekly right now. So I wanted to say last week's episode, but the last episode released, a fellow friend and TikTok creator, Marissa Baker, she came and joined us, and she shared, we appreciate her vulnerability, and she shared her topic, the thing that she's most passionate about on her platform, and how to create your own sunshine whenever there isn't any. So she kind of shared her bits and pieces of her trauma story and how she did that such thing in her own life and how she's using that into her professional life and social media platforms today. This week, we welcome another repeat guest, Morgan Bennett, and today we're going to be talking on ways and tips on preventing burnout in the workplace. So welcome back, Morgan. Thank you for being with us again.
Yeah, thank you for having me back.
Morgan, it is so perfect that you're here talking about the topic you're going to talk about, which is preventing burnout in the workplace, like Kelsi said. I actually just shared this image on Instagram the other day. It might still be up on my stories, but it was something about work-life balance isn't really about work-life balance. It's about work-life boundaries. And I know we're going to touch on that a lot. So I was pretty excited that it just naturally occurred together to talk about these things. So for those that didn't have a chance to get to know you in the last episode, which we were talking about your TBI and how you manage that and make accommodations for yourself. For those people that didn't get a chance to get to know you then, can you just give a little, who are you and why this topic today?
Yeah, so I am Morgan Bennett. I am 28 years old, traumatic brain injury survivor. I am the owner of a small business called MB Beauty. I have made the decision to move on from some of the different aspects of my business, MB Beauty. I am a licensed cosmetologist, and I was practicing nails. Being a small business owner, as some of you know, you wear a lot of different hats. It's very overwhelming. It's a very overwhelming, stressful career to choose. So, I think it's a common, thing that a lot of us have been experiencing in the past couple years, that our jobs, our careers have just been
I started hearing Harry Styles, I think. Wait, what happened? I stopped hearing Morgan and I started hearing music.
Yeah, I lost audio. I stopped hearing you, Morgan, and then I heard, the song. Sounded like Harry Styles.
Can you guys hear me?
I can hear you now, and
That was so weird.
I was like, at first, I always have
hear
tech
you
issues.
guys.
I was like, probably, maybe her sound will come back. Maybe it's just on my end, but.
Let me see. My speaker is off. Hey, John. I don't know. I can somewhat hear you guys.
Can you hear me now?
You're just really quiet. Hey, John, can you help me? I am not really able to hear them too much. I think your headphones just cut in to my phone.
Oops.
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
John was jamming out to Harry Styles. What I heard.
See how I can only hardly hear them.
Do you want to try to end and I'll add you back in?
If you think that would work best, yeah.
Yeah, close out your Skype and then I'll call you back in.
Okay.
It's weird. I hear.
That was so funny. Okay, I'm gonna and we were if you could just start back, I think everybody in the pandemic with their small business, I think that was a good starting point of burnout. Yeah.
Awesome.
And go. All right, Morgan, go ahead and start where I think you said everyone in a small business can relate probably.
Yeah, I think throughout the past couple years, a lot of us have struggled with our work-life balances, you know, and I think especially small business owners were really, really hit hard. So, you know, the past couple years for me personally were really challenging, but throughout those challenges, I learned a lot, and I'm really excited to share everything that I learned with everyone.
No, and again, I that's exciting. I'm excited for you. It's been a minute since you joined us last, so I was trying to recall myself, kind of the things that you were dabbling in. So now that's where you're at, and that's exciting. Good for you.
Yeah.
To like jump right in, Morgan, how can we, or like any tips or tricks for our community on how exactly do we separate ourselves from our workplace, from workplace stress?
Yeah, I think separating yourself is really important. And it's surprisingly harder to do than you would think. There is a really great video on YouTube called Spaceship You that really explains how the mind and the body work, and how you need to separate yourself from each different thing, from where you sleep at night, from where you're working during the day, from where you're exercising. It's a great video. I highly recommend it. I believe that if you don't separate yourself from the workplace, you will set yourself up for burnout. Me personally, being a small business owner, there's constantly always something to do. So I highly recommend, if you have any involvement with your work on your personal phone, you need to find a way to separate yourself from that phone. You know, whatever you have to do, if you need to get a separate phone so that you can put your other phone down in a way so that, you know, the first thing you wake up to when your alarm goes off is not, oh, I have all these work messages. That's what I was doing to myself. I was waking up and instantly going into work. I didn't even give myself time. And that was me doing that, not anything else. I was the one that had to take action with that. So I could wake up and put my phone down, get a cup of coffee before I start going. Because if you're working all day, you're going to run out of battery before you get through the whole day. So if there are, I'm sure that there's several different apps that you can download. Do you guys know of any of different apps that you can download to have separate phone numbers?
I think even like within the iPhone, even if you don't have it, like if you're not able to get a separate phone or separate things like that, like you can even set limits, right? Of like when you can open certain apps or how often you can be on apps. And there are apps that you can download that even take that a little further in detail. I don't know them in specific, but I've had clients use them to where it like doesn't allow you into a certain app or, that kind of thing. I think what you're saying about the morning is so important. That's something that is often like trickled in conversations, but to hit on that point of how important it is when you wake up first thing in the morning, if you start your brain on stress, that dictates your entire day.
Yeah.
Right? Like you are now running on stress vibes and just finding every unconscious bias, everything that comes into play. Oh, great. Now my family. Oh, then this, and then this a-hole on the road. Right now, everything stressful and overwhelming, and I don't want to do it. Right. So if you can start and say, okay, I'm here. What does my body need first thing in the morning? If it's coffee, cool. If it's water, cool. If you need to go outside and get the beautiful sunshine right before you start the stress of the day, that's going to be there.
Yep. Yeah.
I still use my personal phone, and like my work, we use like a HIPAA compliant, confidential kind of healthcare app to communicate with clients, and my business email is like within the same app as my personal email. It's like just so it's way harder than you think, and something that I found that was helpful for me, because I do well at keeping up with notifications and responding and things, and seeing the little like red number by an app drives me crazy. So I know that about myself, but what I did do was I made it to where those notifications don't show up on like my lock screen. So whenever I wake up, my alarm goes off because I use my phone for an alarm too. And then when you hit stop, then it shows you your lock screen. And then on the lock screen, when I would wake up, I would, exactly like we're talking about, I would see emails, or I would see my client app notifications. And it was like, even if you don't open them, I feel the dysregulation.
It's
like,
still there. The notification is still there. Yep. Yeah. So whatever it is, I completely redid my phone. You can go in and choose different permissions to where the apps cannot send you notifications. I personally did that with social media as well. You can use that for multiple different things, whatever is, constantly running through your mind. You can move your apps to a different screen, take them off of your home screen, whatever you need to do to not constantly have that work notification. Even if you're not responding to it, your mind is always going continuously. And then you're not able to do your best work if you are constantly getting burnt out.
It's interesting making accommodations for yourself though. Like Kelsi, it's important not to have it on our lock screen. That thing, I'm like, oh, there's way too much stuff on there, clear, and I never look at it. But if there's the little icon next to my app, if there's the little red however many numbers, that gets me and I have to open it and clear it, right? Except for email, there's like millions of emails we'll never get to. But right, so I think that's a point too, is whatever works for you, like, and you have to be willing to figure that out and go through some trial and error to see what works best for you.
Yeah. Yep. For me, I started journaling of, what's going on, what's going wrong, what am I feeling throughout the day? And that was one of my things. Oh my gosh, I'm getting so many notifications. Okay, how can we problem solve that? How can we go about fixing that? For everybody, it's going to be a little bit different.
And I think something, oh, sorry, Amanda, I keep talking over you. I was just going to say something I found that's helpful. I've been way more intentional about having time. Sounds like duh as you say it out loud, but intentional time where I don't even have my phone on my person or like around or in the same room, like, and primarily on off time, not in the middle of a work day but in the evenings, I try to do that like during a work week. And then weekends, if I'm doing something that I know is like self-care for myself, I even try, like, I know myself now that even if I play music, then I'm more likely to go to my phone to like change the song, and then I find myself then getting sucked into whatever it is that's on my phone after I change the song. So I have to get just completely like away from it, the phone itself.
Yeah, problems of 2022, before we had a camera that was separate from our phones. Our phones were attached onto the wall. I now have a holder for my phone that during the day, I will go and set my phone down on this holder as if it was an old school phone that was attached to the wall. Don't carry it around with you. Why am I carrying my phone into the bathroom for a shower? Nope. Yeah, play your music on something different so that you don't have that automatic grab the phone. Oh, I wanted to take a picture. Oh, now I have my phone, and oh, now I have all these work emails that are popping up as well, and these other notifications. So just separate each and everything. If you need to get a separate camera, get a separate camera.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said, like, about what are you feeling in your body? Like, are you even checking in with yourself when you grab that phone and you see all these work emails or whatever it is, or bills or whatever, right? And immediately in your body, it's like, are we even paying attention to that? Because then we carry that all day too, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think having also setting specific hours of when you're going to respond to the work emails, respond to the work calls, whatever it is, that make that known to whoever it is that you need to respond to. If the people that you need to respond to do not know that, then they're going to keep emailing you. They're going to message you, hey, why aren't you answering? So make it known. These are my hours of when I will be responding to you. if possible, having an away message, an automated away message of, hi, sorry I'm not with you right now. These are my work hours, and I will get back to you within those work hours.
I love it. It's so important. And if somebody doesn't respect your boundaries on that, probably not someone you want in your life then anyway.
No, exactly. Yep.
I love those tips. Morgan, is there anything else on you wanted to say on how we separate ourselves from workplace stress before we get into like specific examples of setting the functional work-life boundaries?
Yeah, I definitely think, the technological, the phones and the iPads, whatever it is, that's a main thing. But definitely also that Spaceship You video, I highly recommend watching it. Separating yourself within the clothes that you wear. We all have, different clothes of, we need a sports bra, a regular bra, a bralette, use that for your work clothes, specific work clothes that you only wear when you're working. When you go to bed, you specifically have pajamas. You don't wear your work shirt to bed because then your brain cannot register, okay, I'm taking my work clothes off and putting my nighttime shirt on. As soon as you're off the clock and you're no longer working, transition out of those work clothes, put on whatever, clothes that you're going to be doing next, with whether that's your athletic clothes, your comfy clothes. But while you're working, you need to be in specific clothes. Separate yourself from that. Also, the area that you're in. Don't work from your bed. Don't work from your bed. That's where you sleep. That's where you sleep. If you work remotely, have a specific area within your home that this is where I work. You're not going to take your laptop and bring it into the bathtub with you or whatnot. I think that's something that a lot of people have been struggling with. My boyfriend and I struggled with that since we live in a 1-bedroom apartment and he was working remote 2 years from home. Our living room and kitchen was office. Our whole entire home, pretty much other than the bedroom, was office. So I had a really hard time separating myself. I would be cooking eggs in the office. So we just troubleshooted that problem. Hey, what's going on that I feel like I cannot get out of the office and I can just be in the home and cook the eggs and sweep the floor. So we problem solved that, and we did set up an specific office for him. Whatever it is, journal it down, figure out what's going on every single day. What's going on here? Just figure it out.
One other piece, like I wanted to plug in here, because you were talking like everybody thought I was kind of like, if somebody wants to meet me after work for something, or if I go to the gym, I change clothes, but like I take clothes with me if I know I'm not going home. And everybody's like, you can wear what you wore to work to meet your mom and for dinner. And I'm like, I know that. But as soon as I get home, I always change. And it was something like from undergrad that I just like started doing. And I still to this day do it, even if I go, like you said, into pajamas, or if I go into like just going into clothes to go check my garden at home or going to dinner with somebody. Like I always completely change clothes. And something I've noticed about myself too, about like separating ourselves, is, it's going to sound weird as I say it out loud, but people, like I will struggle with like falling into this black hole of like every person that I interacted with that day was either a client or somebody related to work. So I've been working more on separating myself from like interacting with people more after work or in my personal time, because there'll be, like I said, days at the end of a whole work day that I'm like, I literally only interacted with clients, of course, like my husband throughout the day, or like colleagues. I need to incorporate and like separate and incorporate like my personal life people more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep. I loved what you said about, making sure, even though they're like, oh, you can wear your work clothes, it's fine. something that I've been doing is making backpacks. Ready to go backpacks. Have a backpack with extra clothes in it. Whatever else you need. If you need, throw some deodorant in there. Keep some Tylenol in there so that just in case you have a headache, Tums, so that you're ready to go. You know, you're prepared. You have clothes just already ready to go. Extra socks, whatever you need to be able to transition without scrambling around. Oh my gosh, what do I need? Oh, here's my backpack. It's already ready for me. Maybe have a snack in there.
Snackies.
Snacks.
So I wouldn't be a social worker if I didn't have to say that, yes, all of these things are wonderful. If you're able to make these accommodations for yourself, if you're privileged enough, it is Juneteenth. So if you're privileged enough to be able to have separate workspaces, to have separate devices, to pack go bags, wonderful. I have a lot of clients that like, even like my college kids, right? Or, college aged clients, or, people that are living in situations where they have one bedroom, right? If that, right? So I do say, hey, your sleep hygiene, we don't want to be working in bed. We don't want to be doing classwork from bed, right? And they're like, well, where do I go? And they're like, and then they have this realization as they're sitting in bed doing therapy on telehealth, like, I probably shouldn't be doing therapy in bed. And it's like, okay, listen, that's like the best case scenario, right? That's things to strive for as you have the accessibility later on in life, right? Right now, what can we do? You have a small little table and you have a chair. You could make a little desk area over there for yourself to work, right? So I just wanted to say we are aware, like, this is like best case scenario if you have access to all those things, but you have to make it work for your life. Pivot, make accommodations, educate people on what your needs are and set those boundaries, right? So if it's like you're living in a house with multiple people and they're constantly coming in and out of your room and that's interrupting, your whatever, then setting that boundary and saying, hey, don't open my door, putting a sign on your door that you're working, that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. Whatever it is, work with whatever you have. Just keep going and, just work with what you have and work towards, even better,
Awesome. Okay. So now let's get in. What are those like functional work-life boundaries that you set or that you recommend?
Yeah, this personally for me was a huge problem. And it was all on me. And I take full, I did that to myself. Um, within running a small business, there's a bunch of different boundaries of policies. Every business needs policies in order to keep going. We have to have rules in order to keep society going. Different work hours of when you will message people back. If you do not communicate these things with people and you don't tell them, then they have no idea. I kept running into this problem where I had a set of policies and I would share them on Instagram. Now, Instagram, not everyone is on Instagram. So I was not reaching my full audience, okay? Maybe let's say I have 100 clients and 50 of them are on Instagram. I've covered my base with 50 people. And I'm scratching my head over here. Well, why didn't, Susie and Martha know? What the heck? I've posted and shared my policy 10 times this week. You have to cover all your bases. And for me personally, that was collecting emails from everybody. I think just about everybody has an email. Make a list of everybody, whoever it is, your coworkers, your boss, your manager, clients, get their emails. If they don't have an email, make a note. Okay, this person doesn't have an email. I need to make sure that I call this person. Make sure that everybody knows. I personally do not recommend using Instagram as a form of setting all of those boundaries and sharing that information.
Yeah, I know, especially, I mean, it's mostly in like the healthcare world, but like a lot of other places too. Like there's You sign policies at the beginning before you even engage in services, right? So, hey, here's our contract, or here's our no, what's the word I'm looking for? Like we're not responsible, no, like liability, like like liability thing, right? Like safety, health thing, right? So like having someone sign those at the beginning, if it's an in-person appointment, have it ready for them to go. If you can email it ahead of time, email it and say, hey, bring it with you. Or if you can do like an electronic signature, a lot of healthcare places will do that. Can you do it online? Can you do like an e-sign? Can you yeah, like you said, verbally explain it. But then when there's updates, I think this goes back to all the episodes and information we've gotten from Mary Bicknell, Kelsi. I don't know if you listened to any of those, Morgan, but they're wonderful. One of the episodes Kelsi did when I wasn't there, I think I was on maternity leave still. It was about systems and having systems in place, not only in your business, but your personal life. Like, what is the system for this? Okay, I've covered the base and everyone knows all the policies right now, but then COVID happens. And I have to tell people like you have to wear a mask or you have to do this, right? Like, and how do I tell those people? Oh crap, I don't even have their emails, right? And so this is like no shade to you because I see you, because being a business owner, you can't possibly know all the things. You think you have it. You're like, all right, I got my LLC, I got everything legal, I got my space to do things in, I got my supplies. All right, I'm ready. And then someone's like, all right, how do I pay you? And you're like, oh, I forgot about that, but right, like something silly. So I see you in that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I heard you say something too, it can be hard, like maybe this can't be just unique. I think it looks different depending on what profession or, what workplace you work in, and we might be getting ready. I don't want to get the cart ahead of the horse, but like something that came to my mind was like not just communicating directly and making sure you're getting that clear, direct communication with your clients or coworkers, but also people outside of that world. Like if somebody, I'll have all the time, people wanting, sending me messages, wanting to ask me questions about a relative, or, to share something with me and ask for feedback because I'm a therapist and people know that about me and like I love what I do. But in that moment, it's easy to kind of shy away or, answer it because, this person, I'm grateful that people trust me, but being direct and setting boundaries is super important. And people be like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that, you couldn't answer that question. I said, you don't have a way of knowing that. You wouldn't know that. Or somebody wanting to see me that I have a personal relationship with and wanting to connect via Facebook. And then I just communicate very and kind of consistently across the board, getting a system for your communication, because you'll start getting a theme for types of questions that you get or types of messaging that you're getting, or certain clients messaging at a certain time of day. I've had conversations like that. I'm like, hey, I have an auto responder set up, but having a conversation like about, you're usually sending me messages at like 2 a.m. What's happening then? And it's hard to be direct about these things in our world sometimes. It's very uncomfortable to do.
Yeah, I think that I struggled a lot with being direct. I was very anxious about that of, oh my gosh, what's this person gonna think of me if I implicate my boundary or my policy of, hey, I have to charge you this fee. And I don't have to explain myself of why I need to charge this fee in order to keep my business going, but it has to be done. And you have to separate yourself. It doesn't matter if they don't understand, if they, have a little backlash. Hey, this is what needs to be done in order for me to have some work-life balance and not get burnt out. Yeah, people do not know if, people don't know what you're thinking. So if you don't express what you need, then they have no idea. And that's just something that I personally really, really struggled with. And I can personally attest that once you do set those boundaries, it feels good. Your day will go by easier when you're not constantly anxious about, oh my gosh, am I gonna tell this person this? Oh my gosh, am I gonna have money in my business to do this or that because I didn't charge this person a cancellation fee. So yeah, just be direct. As hard as it sounds, it's even harder when you don't.
I was going to say it snowballs if you don't, like, and you end up at a whole situation where never in a million years, you're like, how did I get here? And it's not always extreme, but we're humans. We pick up on norms and things that we pick up on people or we don't get from people, and it can just snowball real quick if you don't. Sorry, man.
You're okay. I always tell people, like, what is your fear? Okay, the worst case scenario fear is that they're gonna freak out on you when you set this boundary. Could happen. Could happen. What is the likelihood of that happening? Okay, and then if that actually does happen, you being stressed out about it now in your body is now putting you through it. If it actually does happen, is now putting you through it twice. If it never happens, you put your body through this stress for no reason, right? Because it was unrealistic. Yeah. And just ripping the Band-Aid off, and then the confidence that comes from setting boundaries. Because again, of course, you're terrified. You've never done it, or you've never done it skillfully, or no one ever educated you on how to do it appropriately. And then once you do it, it's like, oh, okay, I can do that, right? And that's how you build self-confidence. So the only way out is through.
Absolutely. You have to just do it. Every single time that you do not set those boundaries and you don't implicate things, you start to feel smaller and smaller and smaller. It does. It makes you feel just absolutely wonderful and fabulous. You got this. You can just do it. You got to just get through that little bit of saying, hey, this is what I need. If you continuously put forth everyone else first and you don't put yourself first, then you're putting yourself last, and you don't deserve to be last.
And I feel like too, in our role, like, I don't know how to describe, I'm not responsible for how people perceive me per se, but I have to show up for myself. And then I'm a firm believer, and I've had clients tell me this, that it's helping, my doing that for myself is then modeling for people outside of me, and especially my clients. But they see that and they're like, oh, okay. And like, we have, obviously, like I said, direct conversations about it, but it's not about like gaining respect, so to speak, but I'm modeling, and then it trickles down and they're like, oh, well, that's how she addressed that. So I bet I could do that with my mom, or I bet I could. And I'm secondhand, also teaching other people how to do it. And then not only are they perceiving me that way, but I'm showing up in the way that I want.
Yeah.
This is like totally segueing a little bit. I'm sorry, but like your conversation has me thinking now, like clients will ask me, like, they work on themselves, right? And then they have a family member, a spouse, a child, whatever it is, that they are just like so hyper focused on. Like, I don't know, I just don't know why they won't do this. Like, they're suffering and they have all these symptoms, and like if they would just do these things, and I don't know, and it's worrying, right? And then now all the focus has gone to this person. And I'm like, the best thing you can do for them is to do you. And then they'll see you doing you, and they'll see what doing you does for you in a sense, right? Like, and how it shows up on you, and how you look better, feel better, exude, things in life. And they're going to be like you said, Kelsi, like, huh, that looks a little interesting. They're not going to be like right away, like, let me get on that train and start doing those things, but it's going to start the wheels turning. And of course you can't shame anyone into changing either, right? So if you're just telling someone what they're doing wrong, it's not going to help them. But if you can be that model, they're going to be like, I kind of want some of that. Like, how do I become a part of that? Right? How do I get a little of that happiness?
Yeah, I love it. Yep. One small change can just spiral. Spiral from making healthy boundaries within your work life that'll trickle into your personal life.
Is there anything on the functional, like the concrete work, like setting boundaries with our workplace and our personal life? Any specific tips before we move into like prioritizing things that we should prioritize in our life?
That is a good question. Just, I think for each and every person, you have to just, sit down and figure out, what's going wrong. What's going wrong with me personally? Again, just journal throughout every single day. Oh, I woke up and then this went wrong. Write that down. And then you might find a reoccurring pattern and find, okay, I didn't set this boundary, yesterday and Thursday and Friday and Saturday. Oh, that's the boundary that I need to set. That's what I need to work on. Or, oh, I how many hours did you work through the day? Did you work 9 hours, 8 hours, 10 hours? Write it all down, journal it, and you'll be able to just pick apart each and every, problem that you can troubleshoot, what boundaries you're going to need to set, and then just go ahead and do it.
I love that so much. Like logging it, start noticing your patterns, and because we all have them. And something for me, I noticed, like if I paid attention, when I started paying attention more, was how I felt physically. So maybe things weren't going wrong around me, but I would physically feel a certain kind of way, whether it was like literally exhausted or irritable, or sometimes we're humans and we just feel the way that we feel. But very often it could come down to maybe taking inventory in our different types of boundaries. And what did that look like today? Why do I feel, doing the self check-ins and then incorporating that into that journaling and noticing any patterns of things.
Yeah, you just have to want the answers.
Yeah.
Don't keep going on this vicious cycle of groundhog every day. Oh my gosh, I'm exhausted. This is killing me and my coworker of this and that. Figure it out. Figure it out. What's causing it.
I love that point so much, because I think humans by nature, we're not necessarily wired to be motivated creatures, right? So you have to really push yourself and you have to want that information. If not, I can only speak for myself, but we can get caught up in like the wallowing, the like, oh, all of these things are going wrong and all of this stuff is happening to me. And it's like, you're not wrong, but you have to want to make those changes.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a common theme.
Mm-hmm.
You can almost feel like people should feel bad for you, and
Mm-hmm.
oh, poor me. That's not going to change anything. You have to want the change. You have to want the answer, not just want the pity and whatnot. You have to want it yourself bad enough. That uncomfortableness of the irritability, of the burnout, should be enough motivation for you to just want to make those changes, whatever changes you need to make yourself, to tell your boss, hey, this is going on. Tell your client, hey, I need to make sure that we're doing this, that. You have to want it yourself. Nobody, in a small business at least, you're your own boss. Nobody's going to set these boundaries for you. So maybe that's a smaller audience for people that are their own bosses. You have to be the boss. You have to tell them. Nobody else is going to do it for you. But also, if you have a boss as well, still you want to be able to self motivate yourself. You're going to make it a lot easier for yourself if you just keep going, and you don't have to have your boss nagging you, because that's another feeling that's not good, of if your boss is constantly, hey, why aren't you on it? Just do it. Be like Nike. Just do it.
I love this so much, and so motivating, and yeah, like being your own boss. It's very easy for us to, like, whenever I have my own therapist and something, they were like, Kelsi, you're putting yourself in boxes that like don't need to exist, and they're like dysfunctionally impacting you. Like, so how can we actually set a functional boundary and make these changes, because you're putting yourself in like this structure, these expectations that are actually harmful, and I have to be the one to bring those up and to change those. So
Yeah, if you can put yourself in a box, just imagine where else you can put yourself.
Yes. Amen. Okay. So what things, as we get closer to wrapping up, I was looking forward to this piece, things that we should be prioritizing in both our personal and professional lives, just prioritizing in general.
Yeah, I think that's a huge one. Me personally, and I think for a lot of people, there's always an ongoing list of things that we need to get done within our work lives. Um, Personally, for small business owners, there's a huge list. When you're wearing all of the hats, where you're a manager, you're the janitor and the maid and the service provider and the this and the that, there's an ongoing list. Also within our personal lives though too. Oh, I need to take out the trash. I need to order the Sam's Club list. Oh, I need to get the groceries. I need to walk the dog. If you just get stuck in this, like, oh my gosh, there's just so much to do. I would find myself like, oh my gosh, I would get so overwhelmed. I wouldn't prioritize one thing or another. I would just try and force myself to try and do everything on my list. And then I would get so overwhelmed that I'd just go lay down, just say, forget it. And then I wouldn't get anything done. Zero. I was forcing myself, doing it to myself. Oh, you have to do everything or nothing? No, prioritize. You don't have to get everything done in that day. What is it that you need the most? What, in your work life, what project or what do you have to get done by tomorrow? Do you have a deadline for something tomorrow? Okay, get that done first. That it'll help you feel a little bit less overwhelmed. Give yourself permission to maybe put some things on the back burner and say, okay, I'll get to these tomorrow in order to get something done versus nothing done.
I tell my clients all the time, like, if you are looking at a mountain and expecting that you're going to be able to just one day wake up and climb a mountain, it's not going to happen. Like, if you can break it up into like smaller summits, right? Like different parts of the mountain. And it seems so simple. And I think the fact that it seems so simple of like, oh, just write a list and break it down into smaller goals. People are like, yeah, whatever. Yeah, obviously. And they think that like, oh, I can just do that in my head. I don't have to write it down. But when you get it out of your head and onto that paper, and then I don't care how small the goal is. It could literally be like, I don't know, collect all the dishes you've left in your room for the past week, because people do that sometimes. Like, it could literally be the smallest thing. Like, it could be just like, go grab the sheets to change the sheets on your bed, right? If you have that small goal, remember how good it feels when you actually cross it off, and don't invalidate that, right? You've completed a goal, and now you've given yourself confidence and motivation, like Kelsi said, we don't often have, but now you've gotten on the train. And so now you can do the next thing, right? And like, what is currently on fire? What needs to happen right now? And what does my body need most right now?
Yeah, the feeling of procrastination and just not getting around to anything, even if it's something easy and you're just, you need to just change the sheets on your bed and you're like, oh, I just don't want to do it. The feeling of that procrastination is way worse than just doing it. Yeah, if there is something small that you can just check off, it's an amazing feeling. You just have to kind of trust that. Just do it, and then it'll make everything else seem a little bit more possible. Baby steps are better than no steps.
I love it.
Yeah.
Anything else to say on that prioritization before we close?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the major thing above anything else, you should always prioritize yourself. If you're not taking care of your health, whether it's your mental health, physical health, whatnot, you're not going to get anything done. If you wake up and you wake up and you're not taking care of yourself, you wake up and immediately have a panic attack, well then yeah, you're not going to be able to get through your work day. If you're constantly feeling anxiety, depression, whatever it is you're struggling with, you need to make yourself a priority above anything else. if you are continuously running into a pattern of, panic attacks, feeling stressed, whatnot, conquer that problem first, and then everything else is going to be a lot easier.
I have a frequent line of, if you take care of yourself, everything else will fall into place naturally. And again, that's like a trusting thing, and just believe and trust. It doesn't mean that there's not going to be challenges, and you do have to have the coping skills, the emotional regulation skills to get through the challenges too, because you can be on a high of like, yay, I did the thing, that's exciting, oh, look at me prioritizing myself, and then boom, something comes to smack you in the face because life, right? And so if you let that get you and be like, see, this is why I don't try, this is why, right? Then there, of course, you've given up. But if you're like, okay, this is really effing annoying, I don't have time for this, I'll be okay. What do I need right now? I need to call a friend for support, or whatever that is. I need to journal about it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Morgan, this was so necessary, and I'm so glad you came to talk about this. And I don't want to say I'm sorry, but like, I'm sorry you had to go through the experience you did, right? And have those challenges and struggles. But I'm really glad that you were able to come out on the other side and share this beautiful information with the world, because it's so needed.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the best lessons are learned the hard way. And, I don't ever wish that I could, do things, go back and change things, because everything that I've done in my life has gotten me where I am now, and we'll just keep learning with it.
Awesome. Thank you for being here. Any last minute words or mantras or anything like that? And then I know you're taking a step back in your business, so I wasn't sure if there's anywhere that like our audience can follow you or find you in the meantime.
Yeah, so I have taken a step back from a part of my business, MB Beauty. However, I still do have my Instagram, MB Beauty LLC, up and running. I may transition into a little bit more of consulting and helping other peers, for me, nail techs, problem solve, and educating them of how they can, if they want to continue in the business, of how they can best go about doing that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for being here again, Morgan. You're always welcome back on any new topic you come to bring us related to wellness. It's always a good time to see you.
Yeah.
And for everyone else, make sure you are subscribing so you know when the next episode comes out, get the notifications. In 2 weeks, so July 3rd, we're going to be talking about the benefits of vibeology dance yoga, which, like, this is a Kelsi guest, I think, because I don't know anything about this, but it sounds amazing. Kendra Everhart is going to be talking about that, so I cannot wait. Everyone take care and have a wonderful couple weeks, and we'll see you later.
Thank you.
Everyone, bye.